My name is Shannon Costello and I'm a registered dietitian with Corporate Fitness Works. Today we're in my home kitchen cooking up a delicious pad thai recipe. I like to call this simply vegged up pad thai because we're throwing in a few veggies to make it extra nutrient dense and colorful to pair with your choice of protein and a wide variety of toppings. Of this year's National Nutrition Month theme of Personalize Your Plate is to explore a variety of different cuisines, cultures, and flavors. You can't go wrong with Thai food because the dishes aim to combine all the flavor components of sweet, salty, bitter, sour, and spicy. I love the versatility of traditional Thai proteins because many of the meals allow you to choose from tofu or vegetarian sources, meat and poultry, or fish and shellfish, which is exactly what my pad thai allows you to do. We have the option of extra firm tofu, cubed skinless chicken breast, or what I'll be using today, which is frozen baby shrimp that I've already gone ahead and thawed. In addition to the original recipe, it also uses whole eggs. So you're actually getting two different forms of protein for a little extra. This is called vegged up, is because we're going to be using colorful bell peppers, onion, and broccoli. Bell peppers add some sweetness and tons of vitamin C, while the onion adds a little bit of a bite, but also some sweetness once you cook it, plus some great antioxidants. And we'll cook the bitterness out of the broccoli, but these florets will give us some B vitamins and some plant-based calcium, which is great. Now, to make this easy, I purchased frozen broccoli and then just thaw it in a microwave safe dish until it's soft enough to cut. So we just roughly chop this. The idea is to get all of our veggies in similar or consistent sizes. So these have been cut pretty thinly. We call that like a julienne cut. And again, roughly chop those larger broccoli florets. Also have our pad thai noodles, and we can purchase these made out of brown rice, making this a whole grain serving. I prefer using sesame oil for the best flavor, but if you don't have that, you can also use peanut oil for a strong flavor, or simply whatever cooking oil you have on hand. Then we'll have some freshly minced garlic and some either fresh or frozen ginger. I actually buy fresh ginger and then chop it up right away and freeze it, because once you cut fresh ginger, it tends to mold rather quickly, so you have to use it up or freeze it immediately. We're going to keep the sauce super simple here so we don't have to purchase a bunch of unusual ingredients that we'll hardly use. Just a low sodium soy or tamari sauce, some rice vinegar, or you can also use lime juice, some honey or just brown sugar, and a tiny bit of that sesame or peanut oil for that flavor. And as an option, you can also add some crushed red pepper flakes. The first thing you're going to do is combine all of these ingredients into a small mixing bowl and whisk it up. And you can taste test this and adjust the taste based on your preference. So for a little more sweetness, add some more honey or brown sugar, more red pepper flakes, or even some hot sauce if you want it to be a little hotter, spicier. So make this personalized to you. You're going to want to boil a large pot of water. Once this water is boiling, you're going to remove it from the heat and immediately add your rice noodles. Toss them around using some tongs so they're not all clumped together. Then let them soak for about 3 to 5 minutes, or whatever your package sees. The water is boiling and your noodles soak. We have some time, so we'll start with cooking your choice of protein. So heat either a large rimmed skillet or even a Dutch oven pot like I have here over medium heat. Now I'm going to demonstrate the shrimp, but I bought frozen shrimp again, so it thawed overnight in the refrigerator, but you can also use fresh shrimp. I'm going to add my cooking oil, about half a tablespoon, just to help flavor this protein up a little bit. I'll coat the pan. This is definitely not a non-stick pan here, so the oil will help as I cook my shrimp. And then we'll add our shrimp here, and shrimp doesn't take that long to cook at all. This is actually a pre-cooked frozen shrimp, so I'm really just warming this up here. But if you're not buying pre-cooked, Regardless, it's only gonna take about 1 to 2 minutes on each side of this shrimp. So it'll cook really quick. You don't want to overcook it because it can get chewy and discolored, but you're looking for that opaque color that you kind of already see here. And shellfish should cook to an internal temperature of 145 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's good to have that food safe thermometer on hand here, just making sure that all of the little shrimp here are touching the bottom of the pan so they can cook evenly. Now, if you're doing the cubed chicken, same thing, add some oil to help flavor it. And if you have a non-stick pan, that'll help. But for cubed chicken, you'll cook each side, or at least the first side, for about 3 to 4 minutes until it's lightly browned. And then you'll use your tongs or spatula to kind of toss it around and make sure that each side gets lightly browned. And then your chicken should cook to an internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Extra firm tofu, super simple. Just prepare it so that you get rid of much of the water, as you can beforehand. So I generally take a clean paper towel and I'll gently press the block of tofu over the sink, let any excess water drain out, pat the outsides dry, and then just use your hands to crumble it into smaller pieces directly into the pan. I'm gonna start tossing these around a little bit. Again, these are already cooked, so just warming them up and giving them some flavor with this sesame oil. But yes, so the tofu will only take a few minutes versus the chicken will probably take the longest. The shrimp is also very quick. So as soon as your protein is finished cooking, we'll just set it aside on a separate plate and then we'll go into cooking the rest of the ingredients. Okay, so after we've removed our choice of protein, in the same pan, I'm gonna add a little more of that cooking oil to coat the pan, saving just a little bit for our eggs down the road. And next up, we are going to saute our onions, our bell peppers, and our thawed broccoli. As you can see, this is getting vegged up right now. So just saute this for about 4 to 6 minutes. We just want the onions to start to turn a little translucent and get the peppers and onions softened along with the broccoli. Looking good so far, so we're gonna spice things up and add our garlic and the ginger. And this will only cook for 1 to 2 minutes, and we'll wanna continuously stir these around so that they don't burn since they're so tiny. The eggs, and I like to just crack them directly into the pan versus having to use another bowl that I have to clean later. And because this is a not very non-stick pan, super sticky, I'm gonna add a little extra oil here just to make sure. And I've pushed everything to one side so I have some room to crack my eggs. When you're cracking your eggs, make sure you crack it on a hard, flat surface as to not puncture the inside of the egg with the shell, contaminating it. So we'll just let this start to cook, and as soon as we see the clear part of our egg, there's a towel here, wash my hands. As soon as the clear part turns white, then we will actually scramble it. But in the meantime, I'm just gonna break up the yolk and let this cook. Before we scramble. My noodles finished, I drained them in a strainer, and then I actually added some sesame oil and tossed them around to coat it. That way they don't stick and clump together. I will say these are very starchy noodles, so the sticking is kind of inevitable, but if you do add a little oil, it can put this all together. So I've reduced the heat to low, and as you can see, I've scrambled my eggs all into our veggies. So you're gonna add back in your cooked protein and our cooked noodles. There you go, there's that clump I was talking about. And we're just gonna scramble this up a little bit, toss it together, break up our noodles here, get everything incorporated. And then we will add our sauce in. Now, if you're a really saucy person, you can easily double this sauce recipe. Always start with a little though, because you can add more as you taste along the way. All right, toss this in. Keep in mind that even low sodium soy sauce is still pretty high in sodium. Sometimes instead of even adding the soy sauce, I'll just add a little bit of water or a squirt of lime juice again. That just helps the liquid go a little further, and then I'm not necessarily adding that sodium. So we're tossing this on a low heat, and since it's all pretty hot, if you're serving this right away, I would go ahead and turn the heat off at this point and get your garnishes ready. Like I'm in Thailand, and I love it. You can top this off with a variety of garnishes to add more personalization and color, texture, and nutrition. You can try some crushed and toasted peanuts. Fresh cilantro gives this a lot of flavor and color. Some sesame seeds, toasted or not. You can do some lime wedges. Some canned bean sprouts is pretty traditional. Chopped green onion, you name it. This recipe can feed a family, but if you have leftovers, store them in the refrigerator for up to 4 to 5 days if it's chicken or tofu, and no more than 2 to 3 days for the shrimp. You may want to add some more sauce if you're reheating it in the microwave because it might dry out a little bit, but that's pretty simple. Enjoy.